I think for me, I started to, I had done a bit of rural reporting before as a journalist, and I had sort of engaged with that, and it had stayed with me that I felt foreign at that time, coming from Bombay and Bangalore and being an urban person, English speaking and, upper caste and all of that would go into these places. Though some of those stories had kind of stayed with me. And so even though as a journalist I was doing all these other, as an academic, I was a political researcher, right? I'm a political scientist researcher. I engage with American politics, but there was the story of globalization, and then within that the story of the farmer suicides that completely made me wide-eyed with wonder about why isn't this story being told on a bigger scale? It really is one of the biggest stories of our time. It's a huge story about the global impact of things in the world, seeds especially. And I was really curious, and the fact that there were so many hundreds of thousands of farmers that are dying. How can we not be engaged with what's going on? How can this be? It's a suicide epidemic, right? So I was engaging with that story, and then when I went to Vidarbha, I needed to go to the farmers and find out what is the reality here. Why is the story not making a big impact? Is it something within these villages? Is it something with the ways the farmers are talking? And I realized that there was a beautiful story of love and fear and pain and despair and yet triumph and all this stuff that was in these stories that they were telling me. And so I had to write the story of the farmer's suicides, of a journey of a farmer. So it really is not about the suicides. It's about this journey that this farmer is on of life and death, the struggle between life and death, and then within that all the love and the marriages and the weddings and in all of that. So that's what I set out to tell. And then because I needed a lens from the outside looking in and engaging with this, I had to bring in this person from Seattle that is actually engaging with this and gets involved. And then it is then a story of globalization, because Katya is this woman, a professor that comes from Seattle, following her son Kabir, who's run away to meet his father, who's an activist in the villages. She comes there. Kabir is already involved and engaged. She wants to yank him back, put him on a plane, take him back to Seattle, but he's already involved, and so she needs to get involved, and she's resisting it. But a few things happen, and she finds Gayatri Bai as this ally, and Baji Rao, her husband, and Gayatri Bai asks for her help, and then everything dissolves. Everything sort of happens from there, and then there's this twist and this sort of change toward the end, and really we then find out who the hero of the story is and who the hero of the story ought to be. So that's really the political sort of tied in with the romantic and the process of change.